2024 has been a heck of a year, but for fantasy, science fiction, horror fans, lots to love. Here's an episode of Top Fives. I'm giving you my books, my TV shows, my movies, and more. Come see what I got. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages. I'm Jim, the father of this father-son show where we talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things. I'm bringing at you a whole bunch of lists today, and you can see how many of these you align with favorite books, movies, shows, and more of 2024. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. But either way, we hope you'll like the episode and click that thumb and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Thanks! All right, I already have an episode that talks about, with my son Zach, our favorite books of the year. So this, I'll keep short, giving you just my top five again. Number 5 was The Ferryman by Justin Cronin. Great science fiction mystery thriller. Fun read. Number 4, Lightbringer by Pierce Brown, the most recent of the 6 books of the Red Rising series or saga. We're waiting for the last one, hopefully in 2025. But this is just a great science fiction, grimdark fantasy in space opera, whatever you want to call it, but it's a heck of a read, very action-packed, and Lightbringer just delivered. Number 3 was A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie, book 1 of the Age of Madness trilogy, which is the final part of his First Law series. I'm well into book 2 now, over halfway, The Trouble with Peace, and it's, man, this thing just keeps coming. But A Little Hatred was number 3. Number 2 was the final book of Matthew Stover's Acts of Cain, which is called Cain's Law. This sci-fi fantasy genre mashup is hard to describe, but it's an incredible piece of fiction, and people need to read this series. Definite grimdark elements. If you're delicate, don't try it, but if you can take it, you're going to love this series. And Cain's Law, it's not just a great narrative, it does some really creative things with the story writing. It was just brilliant. But my number 1 read of the year was The Crippled God, the final book of the 10-book series Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson. It took me nearly 2 years to read these 10 books, so when I finally got that last one done, I was like, yes, I'm so glad it was epic, because that would have been a letdown otherwise. But I'd certainly heard from enough of you out there saying, Malazan, Malazan, Malazan. I didn't think it would disappoint, and it did not. So those are my top 5 books of 2024. I read a ton of other great ones. Check the channel for all the content about them. But these 5, sweet. Now, because I read a lot, I don't watch as many shows and movies. I have to be picky about what I actually get into. But I do have enough to do top 5s for sure. Let's talk about the TV shows again. These are my top 5 TV shows. They happen to all be from fantasy and sci-fi, because that's what I like. Number 5 is actually the most recent one on the list. It's a series I just started. I'm only a few episodes in, and I still need to finish this first season. We're talking about Fallout. What a great show. Now, I have never played the games, though I'm familiar with them. Some of these characters really jumping out as, I've seen the graphics, I've seen the images from these. But I do not know anything about the game's storyline or narrative, so I'm just enjoying it as a show, and it's working for me. And I'm going to keep on plowing through. And I'm sure I'll be eager for more, unless there was only one season. I guess I'll know when I get to the end. Number 4 was 3 Body Problem, which streamed on Netflix this year. I read the 3 Body Problem trilogy in advance of it, because I knew it was coming, and it was on my TBR. That is some creative science fiction. How could they bring that to the screen? Well, as it turns out, pretty well. At least the first season. There's going to be some challenges as they try to adapt the rest of the books. I don't know how far they intend to go. But this first season was strong, and I really enjoyed it. Also, some great actors. The performances they put in, fantastic. Number 3, speaking about great actors and strong performances, we're talking about Shogun, which also appeared on Netflix. Shogun, man, I was like, I remember the classic TV miniseries of James Clavell's novel that I thought was great as a kid. This, ooh, it's going away from the book a bit more. And the fact that they plan a second season means they're completely going off script now. But what they put out there was very solid, very strong, very entertaining, very compelling. So Shogun was a strong watch for me this year. Number two, House of the Dragon, season 2. I am here for House of the Dragon. Max, thank you for bringing this out. You're making up for the disappointment of Game of Thrones at the end. Some people frustrated House of the Dragon season 2 did not advance the story as far as they wanted, but what they gave us was terrific. And I look forward to season 3 whenever it shows up. But number 1 is something I'm actively watching still because it's coming out right now. We're a few episodes in, and that's season 2 of Silo on Apple TV Plus. The first season was terrific. Adaptations, they definitely shifted some things from the books. The second season feels like they're leaning more into book content, even though they still have diverged in significant ways. But the performances are strong. The actors are just really nailing it. They've encapsulated the key elements of the story. I've read the trilogy it's based on, and what they're giving us on the screen, it's emphasizing the right points of tension, the right mysteries, the anxieties that people should have. I mean, it's there. So this is a great show. My number 1 is Silo. Movies, okay, I wait till they come to streaming. So these are all 2024 movies, but I didn't see any of them in theaters. I've said it before. The bathroom is cleaner and the line is shorter and my nachos are cheaper at home. Plus, I got big screen TVs and great surround sound. So, what did I enjoy kicking back on my sofa this year? Well, my number 5 is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I wanted that to be higher on the list, but it was just good. It wasn't great, but it was still number 5 of all the things that I've seen. I've enjoyed the entire Planet of the Apes franchise. Now, of course, that goes all the way back to the 60s. Number 4 was Red One, a Christmas movie that I just saw a few days back. J.K. Simmons, The Rock, Chris Evans, Lucy Liu. It's got a great cast that manages to pull off a very entertaining performance. A different look on Santa Claus for sure. I recommend it. I did an episode on it. It's my number 4. Number 3, we go into the horror things a bit. Also sci-fi with A Quiet Place Day 1. The entire Quiet Place franchise, 3 movies now, have been incredible. So different than anything else you see out there. This one gave us a different cast of characters, but the same setting that's going on. A novel approach to storytelling that I think worked. So that was a great movie. Number 2 was the most entertaining movie I watched all year. I laughed so hard. We're talking Deadpool and Wolverine. The moment they announced they were going to do this, I was like, yes! And now when I watched it, oh, I've watched it twice. It was even funnier the second time. You gotta be a fan of Deadpool and Marvel and all the movies that have come before, both from the MCU, from just Marvel, from Fox. But if you got all that, which I do, this movie just slays. It kills. It's hilarious. So what was better than that? Well, come on. Number 1 is the epic Dune Part 2. What a movie. So much on the screen. And of course, bringing my favorite science fiction story of all time to life. I loved it. I look forward to more. They've got to give us more Dune movies, for sure. Biggest disappointments. I don't have a top 5 list for you. I'm just squeezing one in. Because you might have noticed this didn't show up on my TV shows, but I did watch it. And that's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. I so want this to be a wonderful show, and it's still not. It's just the story they've made up it's not good. They're producing it fine. The acting's okay. I mean, the quality of what they've brought to life on the screen is incredible. Special effects are fantastic. It's just, I'm here for the story, and the story's not very good. It hurts because they're using Tolkien as the basis for something that I just want to be so much better. Will I watch season 3? Yeah, probably, but it remains a disappointment. How about the top 5 favorite things for our Fantasy for the Ages channel this year? Well, one is that we did a whole bunch of top 10 lists and things related to it. Those kind of drive Zach nuts, but I'm really entertained. That's why you get content like this. For example, I updated my top 100 fantasy books I've ever read list. That was a lot of fun to do. I added a top 80 sci fi list now, too. I've got a whole playlist for these top 10, 20, 100, whatevers. Take a look and see which ones tickle your fancy, too. Number 4 on my list would be that I was able to add a little more horror content to our channel. We didn't start out in that lane, and that's going to be all me. Zach's not really into the horror, but I've been a horror aficionado for a long time. Movies, especially, also TV shows, and more getting into the horror books. I mean, I've always loved some classic horror books, but I'm getting into more of the newer things too, and I'll keep bringing content in that lane as well on the channel. Number 3 would be that I made the smart choice of jumping back into Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. And you've been seeing content coming out on these things. I've so enjoyed reading First Law. The original trilogy, all the way back in 2021, was good, but the rest that's come after has been great. Some of the most entertaining and engaging fantasy I've read. This was smart, and it makes my number 3 on the list. Number 2 has to be completing Malazan Book of the Fallen. That was such a ride. We've picked up so many subscribers who also are here for Malazan, and I'm not done with that content. Keep your eyes open for more, because I've still got almost half the books left of the entire Malazan works, and I'm working my way through them. But my number 1 for the channel, I think Zach would agree with this too, is having gone over 2,000 subscribers this year. Now we're over 2,100 subscribers. We're picking them up fast. And just thank you, everybody, for joining us and having fun, enjoying our fun. I'm going to finish this up now with a different kind of list. I'm breaking my rules, and I'm going to give you 9 things that I'm looking forward to as we look ahead to 2025. The first is 4,000 subscribers. I mean, why not? At the pace we're picking them up, we should hit that by end of November. I don't know if we'll keep that pace up, but that would be fun. Thank you for everyone who subscribed. And if you haven't, please do so. Next up, the 8th thing I'm waiting for is the Wolfman movie. I guess it's just called Wolfman, coming out January 17th. It's a re-envisioning, a modern take. It's in the vein of Invisible Man when that came out a couple years ago, which was so different and fresh based on the original intellectual property, but totally going a new direction for modern times. What will they have done with Wolfman? I am intrigued. Number 7 is the Fantastic Four, First Steps, that's scheduled for July 25th. We so need a really good Fantastic Four movie. We've had good, we've had bad, we haven't had great. Could this finally be the time? I'm really hopeful. The cast looks strong. It's coming into the fold here. I think we can get a good movie this time. Number 6, The Last of Us Season 2 is supposed to come out sometime in 2025. I loved the first season. Excited for Season 2. Number 5 is Season 2 of Wednesday. That was such a surprise hit when it came out on Netflix. And I was like, please give us more. And yes, they are. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Number 4 is something I didn't even know I was really waiting for, but I saw this year it's coming out 28 years later. Zombie apocalyptic horror film. It's scheduled for June 20th. There was 28 days later and 28 weeks later. They were both fantastic British films. I'm looking forward to 28 years later. Let's go back and do some more. Number 3, please, Pierce Brown, give us Red God, Book 7 of the Red Rising saga. I think it's coming. He hasn't committed anywhere that I've seen, but we need to finish this series. Don't make us wait any longer. Please. The second most excited thing I'm looking forward to is Season 3 of the Wheel of Time TV adaptation. That's dropping March 13th. Season 1 did not impress me. I mean, I was glad to have it, but I was disappointed with so many things. Season 2 was considerably better. Still, some of the choices, cringy for me, but a lot of it was quite good. Season 3 looks like we're finally gonna hit a lane I can really be happy with. Just based on the teaser trailer that is now out, there's so much book content clearly on display there. I'm excited they're gonna do this. I know they'll still change things, but I think I'm gonna like more than I don't in a strong percentage. So I'm eager for the Wheel of Time Season 3. I hope I still feel that way after it's out. But the final thing, hands down, I'm most excited for is season 5, the final season of Stranger Things. What an incredible show. I've enjoyed this. I've watched the seasons more than once. I am ready for season 5. Let's finish this and see what they do. They've done just a great job with the show all the way along, this fantastical horror adventure. Season 5. We don't have a date yet, we just have a year, but it should be soon. And that's definitely what I'm looking forward to more than anything else. All right, how about you guys? What are you looking forward to in the year ahead? Or what were some of your favorites in the categories that I put here? Use the comment box, share your thoughts. I'm eager to hear what you have to say, and I will respond. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.